So I think this is great. In terms of emotional intelligence, I know you handle a lot of the areas where you address some of these problems. What would be some of the areas that you could see, Eric, that they would benefit from?
This is where doing more than the bare minimum of what's required by the law, but thinking about how can I, as a leader, an employer, a manager, a CEO, how can I motivate and incentivize my employees and build their morale? And this is where, like, I think emotional intelligence comes into play. If employers and leaders are themselves emotionally aware, again, right, emotionally intelligent, they have some awareness, they're honest, they take responsibility when the fault is theirs, they try to make things right when they made a mistake. They don't hide that from the employees. They validate the employee's experience. If they're doing that, productivity and morale goes up. I see it with companies. For example, one area of law I practice in has to do with reasonable accommodation requests. And some employers come to me and they're not so emotionally intelligent or aware. They're just saying, what's the minimum I have to do, the bare minimum basic, just to eke by what the law requires, let's say, for a certain accommodation for disability. And I might tell them based on their financial hardship, status, whatnot. But I might also encourage them, if you were an emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware leader, you would say, you know what, I want to do more than the bare minimum. And so I'm going to grant this employee's request, which I can easily accommodate, because it'll boost morale. So my point is, when you show your employees that you value them through hearing their requests, hearing their complaints, bringing them together, and fostering communication, you are likely to incentivize them with higher morale, higher productivity, and then therefore fewer sick days, less burnout, right? Less time off for things like back problems and issues. So it's like really a win. Like, when you combine the legal requirements of the labor and employment laws with what maybe an emotionally aware person and maybe a therapist would say. I'm not a therapist, but I can know that a lot of law involves psychology. You can really run a successful business. And I think we're seeing a trend in the last 20 plus years. I saw a lot of companies 20 years ago all about the hard skills, right? Who has the most sales, the best revenue generator, who can dot those I's and cross those T's perfectly. But now we're seeing that employers look to all those emotional awareness, emotional intelligence skills that you and I have been discussing.
So important. I love that. And what do you see, like, if based upon your experience, do you find that it's harder or easier? It could go either way with a small business, or like when you start getting into like larger, when I say larger, like anything over 50 people now, like 50 to 100, now 500, then into the thousands. I would think that more people you have, it's going to be harder and longer, but I could be wrong. So I wanted to find out, what do you find is best where you can implement these principles in an efficient manner?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good point. You know what I've found representing employers over the years, whether it's in compliance or writing their contracts or defending them from wage and hour suits or breach of employment contract suits or what have you, I find that the smaller companies are sometimes, because of often they could be family run, and you might see or witness some very dysfunctional family dynamics at play that gets them put on the employees. And because some of them don't know about some of the HR practices and requirements, I found that more small companies, believe it or not, struggle with this concept of having emotionally intelligent leaders, people in C-suite or in senior management level positions. And I find that they struggle with implementing these changes, because think about, like, a large company, they hire outsourced consulting for DEI, that's diversity, equity, inclusion. They hire people for morale building, employee relations, and they know they're supposed to do these trainings per law, and they know it looks good also on their website to talk about that. So they tend to have more of these things in place. So I do find small companies struggle with this, and I think that's maybe the reason why, perhaps.
Yeah, no doubt. It makes total sense.